Hello and welcome to our Pearl Expeditions webinar series, where we're taking a deep dive into some of the incredible destinations that your clients will experience on board the Paspaley Pearl. And we're joined by General Manager and Head of Sustainability, Mick Fogg. Welcome, Mick.
Thanks, mate. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and it's always great to talk destinations and our Paspaley Pearl product.
Absolutely. And where are you taking us to today?
Well, I thought we'd have a quick chat about PNG, Papua New Guinea. Our nearest neighbour, a wonderful destination, and I think somewhere everyone should go and visit. It's one of those things that it's so close that we tend to overlook it. For overseas travel, it's not the easiest place to get around independently, so it's certainly worthwhile going on a voyage. And our small boutique, lovely vessel has the opportunity to extend into so many different areas. When we look at PNG, we've got 600 islands out there to choose from, and so culturally diverse. And I think this is the key with it. The culture in PNG is so ingrained into the land, and we try and immerse ourselves into that. And having 30 people means that we're not impacting small villages. Sometimes when the village population may only be a couple of hundred, and all of a sudden you got 250 people arriving, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So 30 people allows us to have a really small footprint, and also work and continue to liaise with those smaller villages that we first established contact with and operating tourism in almost 20 odd years ago now. So it's great to be returning to some of those places. Now, when you look at PNG, you've got 840 living languages on the islands, and because of the isolation, the mountainous terrain in the centre, traditionally all of that custom is being done on rivers. So when you go to places like the Sepik, 1,200 kilometres, lots of those villages interacted over time. But if you start to take into the mountain ranges, they weren't interacting across those mountain ranges. So they become really isolated cultures and very different. So it's great to be able to experience a number of those on each voyage. Now, we've got three different voyages through Papua New Guinea. So I'm going to quickly run through all three of them. Our first one is one we're calling our Papua New Guinea's Hidden Secrets. So that'll take you from Cairns to Madang, and for those, it's probably a great introduction to PNG for people. So to get a bit of a feel for it before you get more immersed into our more in-depth voyages, if you like, which are the other two we'll talk about shortly. So we come into PNG, we come into Samurai Islands, the beautiful Quato Church. The London missionaries arrived 1891, Charles William Abel, and they came from the London Missionary Society and built this beautiful church on top of Quato. So we get to experience that. Head out to the De Boyne Lagoon. Now, the De Boyne Lagoon, part of the Louisiade archipelago, beautiful white sandy beaches, but it was also a Japanese seaplane base in World War II. So we get the opportunity to snorkel over the top of a World War II Zero. And some people think, oh, that might be a bit too hard for me. It's in less than 3 meters of water. So it's a very achievable snorkel for most people. Head on up to the Trobriand Islands, enjoy those beautiful islands of love, great, impactful, powerful demonstrations of their sing-sings and their traditional welcomes, crystal clear water, perfect for snorkeling in. Again, the great advantage of PNG is small tides, and so small tides means that the reef grows closer to the coast, closer to the beach, is accessible for most people. We also have some pretty unique experiences like heading up the fjords of Tufi, where we'll paddle up in outrigger canoes, enjoy that, and probably one of the most colourful sing-sings or welcomes you do get is in Tufi. We also, being a small vessel, 30 people out at once, we can do the sing-sing, then head offshore to the offshore reefs and use our dive boat to get in and explore those environments, really, really spend time there and quality time there out on the reefs. Up to the Morobe Lagoon, where we'll witness some traditional culture, then on to the Tami Islands, and from Tami's we head on up to Tuam, and from Tuam back into Madang. So that'll be our sort of first voyage into Papua New Guinea. Then when we start to...
Oh, sorry, mate. Really, I mean, you expect... I mean, I expect, I've been selling this stuff for a long time, the incredibly diverse cultures, languages, those colorful tribal costumes and things like that. But honestly, looking at some of those pictures there, they could have been of the Cook Islands or Tahiti. So, the water and the snorkeling and diving opportunities. So, will all of the PNG itineraries have the ability for people to dive if they're into that?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we're planning on having a dive master on board. So when we do our diving, we'll be obviously working with local people where we can, because I always believe that local knowledge when it comes to diving is essential. You could find yourself diving 200 meters away from the world's best dive site and you don't know that.
And
So you need to get that.
supporting those economies as well, I think is important,
And that's the other aspect. Exactly. We want to be assisting everywhere we go in the best possible way that we can do that. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll have dive masters on board. We'll require guests to have a minimum qualification of a PADI advanced or equivalent, what they may be, and obviously the usual medical declarations and medical tests and all the rest, and logbooks that will be required for that. But more information can be gained from our concierge team in regard to that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mick.
No worries. And then we're looking deeper into PNG culture and heading through the Sepik region and some of the islands associated with the north coast. Now, the Sepik region, probably globally the best known part of PNG, I guess. The Sepik is the longest river. It's not the biggest river. It's the longest river in Papua New Guinea. So 1,100 and something kilometres. And you've got somewhere between about 250 to 500 villages along that coast. And it's an interesting one because, as I mentioned initially, they've all had that connection through the river trade systems. So a lot of people split it up into the lower, upper and middle Sepik regions. So we'll be spending our time in the lower reaches, places like Kopar village here right at the mouth. And then next door to that, you've got Murik Lakes. So the Murik Lakes are very, very closely related to the Kopar village, but a different group of performances that we see there. So then spending time on some of these beautiful outlying islands, like you mentioned, Craig, where they're relatively untouched and we've got pristine coral reef environments, ideal for that swimming and snorkeling. And then after we touch a few of the islands, back into a slightly different culture south of the Sepik, which is the Ramu culture and the spectacular Watton village, which we used to visit. Last time I was there was 12 and a half years ago now, and they're already really excited about welcoming us back. So we're looking forward to that, and it's a unique destination. There hasn't been anyone visit, any group of tourists from ships visit that location in the last 12 and a half years. So we're looking forward to rekindling that relationship with the people of Watton.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And then from there, you go into Hansa Bay and Awa Village. And Hansa Bay was also a Japanese naval base. So just out the front of that is some shallow Japanese wrecks where we can snorkel over the top of them as well. And of course, our divers will be able to dive on them. Off to Karkar Island and then into a beautiful little isolated island on Cape Gloucester, which is Nip Island. And we'll be having a nice little afternoon session there where we can do a barbecue and have some drinks as the sun sets before heading off to Madang.
Sounds idyllic.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? And that's the thing with PNG, and having been going there for just under 20 odd years, the greatest recollections I have of Papua New Guinea is being asked by another tribal leader, why don't we go to their village or why don't we go and visit their island? And it happens everywhere you go. The thing with Papua New Guinea is there's so many beautiful destinations and so much culture. You can't fit it all in and there's so many options. And so that's what's great about it, that you really get that sense of exploration.
Brilliant.
And then our last one, sorry, mate, you going to go?
No, over to you.
All right. And so our last one, we're going to do a circumnavigation of the island of New Britain. So again, Madang to Madang over 10 nights, taking those spectacular regions. So again, we're out to Nip Island, but then we're into the V2 Island, Gorove in particular, which is an ancient caldera where the southern wall has broken down. So we can take our ship inside there do a couple of nice walks, enjoy the village environment before heading off into Kimby Bay. So if any of your clients are divers, they would have heard of Kimby Bay. It's a biodiversity hotspot. 60% of the world's coral species occur there, and you've got over 860 species of fish as well. So a great diving and snorkeling mecca. Then off into Simpson Harbour and Raval, volcano town as it's known, and obviously it was destroyed with two massive eruptions in 1994 from Vulcan and Taverva. And so you come into that caldera, and it's great from a historical perspective. It's also interesting from a modern society look at in Papua New Guinea, as well as the World War II history. And here we'll also look at the Binding people and their famous fire dance. So one of the most enjoyable experiences I think you can witness is the Binding fire dance. Across we go to the Duke of York Islands, where we'll have that famous Duk Duk culture and spend time with them. There's also the opportunity again to snorkel on World War II wrecks, before coming around into Jacquinot Bay, and then from there into the Tammy Islands and back into Madang, which will be wonderful for our 3 voyages around PNG. And we're following the seasons with the vessel, so we're in there at the right time, up into the doldrums and enjoying that beautiful time to be in PNG. Scheduling around about October to early December, end of November in 25 and also 26. So each of the voyages are 10 nights duration, Cairns to Madang or Madang to Madang.
Brilliant, Mick. Every time you speak about Papua New Guinea, I'm just fascinated by the place, but also blown away that it's on our doorstep. Like this, these places and cultures that are so different to what we experience on a daily basis is literally a stone's throw. Not literally a stone's throw, but figuratively a stone's throw from Cairns. So thank you, mate, for sharing the insights, and we can't wait to get up there.
My pleasure, Craig.